So yeah, so no worries. Okay, so good afternoon, first and foremost, or good morning, depending upon where you're hailing from. My name is Apriel Biggs. I am so excited that all of you guys are here. I am the founder of Agile, and today I am joined by three amazing women to talk about the journey for Black and Brown women in Agile. And this conversation is one that's near and dear to all of our hearts. Because this experience of being Black, this experience of being a Black woman and being a Black Agile technologist is not easy. And so today our goal is to help you talk through some of the things that you're experiencing, hopefully give you a little bit of hope and levity as you guys navigate some of the situations that you guys are called and striving through. And then also last, is to build this community that we're calling Blagile, right? So all of you are Blagilists, right? Black Agile technologists. And one of the things that was really important to me when I thought about just trying to create a community was a space for Blagilists to come to do two things, really simple, to amplify and elevate Black voices in Agile. That's really our goal. And so toward the end of the call, Chase and I will talk to you a little bit more about how you can be a part of future panels and get some of your writing published if that's something that's of interest to you. So before we get too far along on our agenda, I want to introduce these amazing powerhouse women today. And so I'm going to start with Nicole to give her introduction and just talk a little bit about who she is. Nicole?
Thank you, Apriel. And I also like to add on to what Apriel said, that this is not just about Black women. We're focused on Blagilists, as we can use it, but also all the people who support us. So all of our allies, everyone is welcome. I feel that if more people understand our experience, the more they can support us in our endeavors, in our career, you know, and all of that. So back on point. So hello, everybody. My name is Nicole Spence-Goon. I am an Agile coach. I've been in the Agile space for like over 10 plus years, in IT for 20 plus years. But I'm excited to be here today to really foster this community. I have a strong belief that community is what always connects us, what helps us grow. Community is the one who supports us. So that is why I'm excited to be here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Lisette, how about you?
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Lisette, and I have been in the software industry for about 17 years and an Agilist for 12. And I'm excited to be here to learn from everybody else and to connect with all of you.
Thanks, Lisette. And then Melissa.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Melissa Daley. I'm excited to be here to share my experience. I have been in the Agile space for over a decade, I think, since 2007. And I am the owner and founder of Orca Intelligence. And so we do IT consulting. So I'm excited to share my experience. I'm looking forward to the questions, and let's get this party started.
Soon come, Melissa. soon come. And last, like I mentioned, my name is Apriel Biggs. I have been in the technology space by way of engineering and process improvement for probably the last 20 years, in IT specifically for the last 15, and in Agile for about the last 7 or 8. And I'm really excited about this conversation, like I said, because I want this to be, it's a holiday time, right? And in the Americas, the holidays is a time when, folks, when I remember being a little girl, right? Our folks would go to college and they would come home and you get a chance to hear all about their great stories and all about how, life has changed them. And it was just cool. And it was just super dope. This is an open conversation. Y'all don't have to worry about code switching or anything like that. Like, there's no question that's too big, too small. And at the end of the day, there's tons of folks who are in the industry. Brandon is on. So I want y'all to ask questions about what you're struggling with and what you really need help with and how we can help you. You know, as the old saints say, closed mouths don't get fed. So this is your opportunity to get fed and to get nourished in the next 40 or so minutes. So please make certain that you're thinking about the things that you want to elevate today so that we can help you with them. The last part is that Chase, our chief of staff and our producer today, is on the call. And so if you don't feel like asking your questions verbally, you can put them in the chat, you can send them to Chase, you can send them to me, and we'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions or elevate your comments that way. Okay, so hopefully y'all have stuff for us to talk about, but we're gonna go ahead and kick off the conversation with a couple of questions. And so one of the things that I would like to turn to the panel and to ask specifically is, and I'm going to start with Melissa, and any of the Bladulous that are on the panel can amplify or elevate their answers, but what experiences have you had that have been challenging for you as a Bladul woman in an Agile environment?
There's a plethora, but I'm going to just pick a couple. One is I've been told that I look really young. So my years of experience have been downplayed, like I don't think you know that much, right? So that's one of the things. And I think the other thing is that I am often, because of that, but because of other things, I think, my skin tone, whatever it is, I've been underestimated a lot. And so that has been a huge struggle. But what I have been able to do to overcome that is just let my work speak for itself and go from there. Like let my work, let my communication skills, let all of the 20 something years of experience to speak for itself and go from there. There have also been some, a lot of like inappropriate behaviors that I have experienced. And that comes from something that was said to me directly or something that's not said to me. But again, I just let my work speak for itself and my attitude rise above that. So that's what I have to share.
Thank you for that. Lisette and Nicole, do y'all have anything you want to add to that?
One thing I would add is having the experience of the question of what are you doing, right? It's like, what do you do here? It's along the theme of what Melissa was talking about, not valuing your experience and that kind of thing, but people making the automatic assumption that you don't know what you're doing, or they questioning your capabilities without knowing anything about you, just making that assumption. And so in Melissa's case, she's letting her experience and what she does speak for itself. For me, I turn to my community, my backup system, my support, because those are the kind of things when you hear that or feel that, making you feel like you don't belong there, right? That this is not a place for you. You don't belong in this group. You don't belong on this project. But, I went to my community to help me to just like, no, girl, you've got it. You know what you know. You just keep pushing forward. And that's kind of where I went to for help.
All right, thanks. Lisette, you have anything you want to add?
Well, I think most of the experience are actually similar. For me, I'll share what Melissa also talked about. People just assume that you're super young, like, okay, black don't crack. So the skin is popping, but what could we do about that, But the mind is right. The mind has a lot to share. There's a lot of experience here. So for me, I let my work speak for itself. I carry my weight based on what I have to bring to the table. And if I'm here, and I'll share an anecdote. A couple of years ago, one of my friends at work asked me at lunch, like, how did you get hired here? And I thought that was the weirdest question ever. I was like, Monster.com, like, how do you get hired? That was like back in the days. I don't know if people are still using Monster.com, but I was like, Monster.com. I applied, they called me, I show up, I spoke, and then they called me back. So, and then I reflect on that question because for her, she got hired because somebody introduced her to the position, and I got hired through the normal rank. So it's just little things like that that you hear, but I think we wear a cape every day and we overcome it. We overcome it. And for me, it took me a while to even know that those were issues, because I'm just like, that's just part of the way it is. Because since I've been in college, people have underestimated me, and it's actually, for me, it's a strength, because you underestimate me, I come and blow your mind. And then you're like, wow, I wasn't expect this person. So it's like, you don't have an expectation, but then when I perform, then you blow your mind. So it's actually a strength. That's how I take it.
I think those are all really good things. And the one thing that I know, and this is really important to Melissa, that I'm hearing just from this conversation, that sometimes it's hard, right? You feel beat down about having to run your resume every single daggone time somebody questions you, right? Like, I remember when I started at this level, folks will come into my office and they're like, oh, did you see XYZ happened? I'm not familiar with your background, so I don't know if you know what that really means. And you're like, unfortunately, you must have missed the announcement when my resume came out. Let me help you understand who I am, right? Like, and then you have to like run the receipts. And so it's crappy, right? That sort of thing has to happen. But I think the important thing on this call is to say, like, regardless of the level that you get to, it seems like that never ever stops. And it becomes funnier the more anchored in knowing your worth that you are and knowing what it is that you bring to the table. And so that's the one thing that I will say to all of y'all, at least on this one point, that has helped us in terms of like having things that anchor us in who we are, is know who you are, know what you bring to the table, and be good with like, running the receipts if folks are asking for them, because you have them, so that's that. So let's transition. And I want to talk a little bit, we talk about this kind of strength that comes with knowing your worth and knowing who you are. I now want to talk about, how do you have the confidence in your abilities, right? And particularly, I wish y'all were on screen, but many of you are not. So I'm trusting that if you've joined us, you've already achieved the level of Scrum Master, right? And so for some folks, take the test and they get their Scrum Master certification and don't really have a lot of experience, to go with or bolster the certification. So Lisette, I'm going to direct this question to you, is, where does this confidence come from, and what makes you stay in the field as a Black woman working in Agile?
Yeah, I love that question. And confidence is, for me, it's like a key ingredient to just, for us women, but for us even IPOC people as well, because like I was mentioning earlier, they underestimate you. So if you want to look at how they're looking at you, you're gonna fail. So you have to have confidence in your own ability. So for me, confidence is important. It's a journey, it's a daily journey, it's a daily thing. You have to always go back to running, your resume. My husband even know more my resume than I do. Sometimes when I'm talking to him, he's like, remember you did this? And I'm like, oh, I forgot that I even led a team in Asia Pacific, for 3 years remotely. But now everybody's talking about remote. So I even forget things that I've done. So it's also good to have like a list of like your accomplishment, it help you up your own confidence daily. But in terms of like why I stay, for me, I stay. Sometimes I feel like I stay because I didn't have a choice, and I have been literally running from the IT team, IT field from the day I joined, actually, in college. Every year I've been going to my advisor and asking her that I want to change my major, because maybe there was no representation, and she was telling me, then what are you going to do? And I never had a plan B, I'm like, I don't know, you know. And then she looked at my grades, she's like, you're good at it. So every year when I was college, I always wanted to quit. And then I started working, and I've always felt like, oh, these people, you know, oh, they're doing this to me. But for me, I felt like I didn't have a choice because I have a passion. I'm a really passionate person, and I have passion into software quality, into what I do, I love the work, you know. I even love the people. I just don't love how we get treated, and I don't love the environment. So either I always take a stock, try to move out of an organization, or try to be on my own like I'm doing right now. So it's always try to stay focused on what do I love to do? What is my passion? My passion is the work. My passion is the work. So that's the reason why I stay. But I want to just share a quick story that just happened to me like very recently. So I think you guys gonna take a quick a funny story. So I'm on a call, you know, with executive, and it's a new team, and I'm explaining stuff to them. And so there's a new person, he never met me. So the other two people that know me, and I'm explaining, I'm like in really my genius, literally like just walking stuff step by step. And my phone just give me a little bit notification, but I don't pay attention to it. It's actually my LinkedIn, you know, but I'm focusing on my conversation. I get off the call, you know, like, okay, good. I'll send you guys the next step, everything. And I look, and this guy is literally in the middle of the call, like checking me out on LinkedIn. So I'm like, I just love it. It was like a great moment. I was like, oh, so now you want to check me out. So I just love that.
That was funny. Nicole or Melissa, you have anything you want to add here?
So where you get the confidence from, I think, you know, I get the confidence from what I really enjoy about this field. And I think what I really enjoy the most about is the servant leadership aspect, because Agile came to me when I was at a crossroads in my career about what I was going to do next, and, you know, where people were trying to line me up for. I was like, I don't want to go and do that. I don't want to do project management. But I was like, I don't know what it is that I want to do. And then it came into my life, and I was like, this feels like it fits who I am, because I truly believe in being of service. And so when that came into my life, I was like, I can totally relate to this. This makes total sense to me. And so with finding my feet in Agile and focusing on that and serving others, that is where my confidence developed, because that was just innately a part of me. And why I stay is for the same reasons, is to be of service to others. So whether that's the team that I'm helping or an organization, but even larger than that, really about serving community right now. That's kind of where my energy is. And it's like serving this community, finding ways to help other people, because lots of people help me get to where I am right now. And so that is always what's most important and what's like in the forefront of my mind at all times.
I so love that. You know, like the pageant Polly in me, you know, loves like the whole idea about being connected to the work for the greater good. And okay, you guys, a little bit about me, but I really am like a kumbaya kind of person. And I do believe in, I call it the for me, for you, for us concept. And so I believe, you know, that God, universe, whatever you believe in. But I believe that God puts the oil on the thing that is for me, for you, for us, right? So if it'll bless the world, and I feel like those are the things that get green lighted. And I love the idea of being connected to the work for the greater good of the work, because then it makes it easier in those times when folks are coming at you, when you have to run your receipts, when people are just, you know, being crotchety and stank for, you know, no reason. It helps, again, back to this whole conversation about anchors, it helps to anchor you. Really quick, because I know Brandon has to jump at 12:30, you guys. I'm really excited that Brandon Rains is on the call. For you guys who don't know him, he is one of the first CTCs, and so that's certified team coaches and certified enterprise coaches that exist in the world and one of only 8 Black folks who hold those designations. So like I know many of you on the call are certified Scrum Masters and probably don't even know that these 2 designations exist, right? Like, and so Brandon, can you talk a little bit about how you transitioned from Scrum Master to CTC, CEC, and then to independent consultant for folks who don't know about the designations or know about that journey?
Yeah, sure. So first, it's awesome to be here with you all. This is inspiring. And I guess I'll start the answer from stealing completely from Nicole. God, that what she said was awesome. And it was being in a transition space and from being a software developer and finding out that coaching seemed really cool because it was in service. And a lot of it was being in service to wanting to make the industry better, right? You heard that from Lisette, real strong, because I love it. I love software development in the software space. And I was tired of being a victim of bad practices. And so this was my contribution of wanting to make it better. And so it was really just kind of stumbling around and being lucky that there were other people who hit me to the idea that there was this thing called Certified Enterprise Coach. Then it was called the Certified Scrum Coach. And just being able to say, how do I expand my world on how to become a better coach? Because it was just that journey. Every day it was just, okay, how do I get better? And learning about different training programs and stumbling into different experiences that I was trying some of these techniques. And like to this day, 15 years later of doing this, it's every day is well, let's try this. And folks, me asking for permission and saying, we're going to try this. I've never tried it before, but let's see. And gaining experience from there. And I think that if there was any kind of, for me, magic around where I am is just being that of having a little bit of confidence and asking permission to run some experiments and seeing how it goes, and knowing I'm going to fall on my face every now and then and dust myself off, or have others to help dust me off, and then learning from that, and then continuing on to go. And there's a ton more that I could say about the actual CEC and CTC process. But I think a lot of it is captured in what I already said, which is gaining more experience, trying things, and then being thoughtful about what you learned from them, and then being able to translate that into the applications eventually. But all along, it's just helpful because you get to learn more, no matter the outcome of what the application process is.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, so I know you only have a couple minutes. And so I'm looking in the chat. So I'm tired of being a victim of bad practices. That resonates to your story. So Shauna, if you want to come off mute, there's no pressure. Feel free. Oh, you took your mute off. So go ahead. I'll let you have the floor.
I wasn't expecting to speak.
Okay, well, you don't have to if you want to.
I was just supporting Brandon's statement. My backstory is similar. I come from a world of software engineering and then became a Scrum Master over 16 years ago. And then went into coaching, so similar path and journey as Brandon. And I love the coaching part and the experiences of just being able to impact teams that are all like victimizing each other with these bad practices. I just love to do this work from that perspective. I've made enough software to make myself happy as a software engineer for the rest of my life. I don't need my hands to produce more software. I just enjoy helping other teams who make software. Just stop hurting each other. It doesn't have to be this hard.
It doesn't have to be this hard, right? And so hopefully through this community, we can at least help each other and at least commiserate sometimes, right? Share funny stories and then talk about, better or worse ways, to help our teams help each other. So, so thank you for coming off mute and sharing. So do y'all have any questions about, just before we lose Brandon, about the journey from CSM to CSP or CTC or CEC before we let him go? You may not. Y'all are super quiet.
Well, giving some people time to think. I know when I heard Brandon and the other coaches speak at the previous event, you know, the easiest way I could think about the process for the guy level coaching that he has is thinking of it like a master's program, because that's what it's like. It's from that, you know, from the point of time commitment and involvement. It's like, okay, a lot of you probably have a master's, so you know what's involved. And so think of it in that context. It's that kind of commitment. So it's just taking it up to the next level.
Thank you, Nicole. And Brandon, thank you. I think you're about to drop, so I just wanted to say thanks. And if you guys have any questions after, hit Brandon up on LinkedIn. And that's a great place for you to reach out to him and to ask any questions if you have any questions about the journey. All right, bro. Thanks for joining. We appreciate
Good
you.
seeing y'all. Love this.
Okay, so now I want to transition a little bit to talk about. I want to talk about this whole conversation surrounding sponsorship, mentorship, because it's a mess sometimes, right? Like everyone, especially as women, I feel like everyone's like, you just need a mentor. Like you just need someone to hold your hand and show you through the way. And once you have a mentor, it'll all be great. And that is a damn lie. It is a lie. It is a lie. It is a bald-headed, bold-faced, black-eyed lie. And I know Nicole is laughing hard, a whole lot, right? Nicole is laughing hard because she's passionate about this. So Nicole, how do you feel about mentorship and sponsorship? And is there a difference? Are they the same daggone things or no?
No, they are not the same thing at all, in no shape or form. No. But some people don't know that. So I'll just kind of quickly break down the essential difference between mentorship and sponsorship. So succinctly, mentors advise their mentees. You know, they offer guidance, provide a sounding board, act as a role model. A sponsor is someone who is in a position of authority or influence and can advocate for you, you know, open up opportunities, you know, nominate you for things, help you with advancement within your own company. So mentor advises, sponsor advocates. So it's the difference between having a chat and taking action, right? Because the mentor relationship, mentor-mentee relationship is between the two people. The mentor is there to help you visualize your career goals and all of those things, where as a sponsor, it's not just about the relation between the two of you, but also with the greater audience that the sponsor is going to introduce you to. And so there has been lots of studies about mentorship and women in mentorship and how much women have been mentored, but yet are not advancing in their careers. Because mentorship is good, but it's only like the first step. Then you need sponsorship, because that's where the money is, right? That's where you actually see the advancement. And that's what's happening a lot, is that women have, I mean, there are a ton of studies about how women have been mentored, but are not advancing in their careers. So the key here is that you not only need mentors, you need sponsors. And there is one article by Harvard Business Review by Rosalind Chow, who talks about don't just mentor women and people of color, sponsor them. And there's this concept that she had called the ABCDs of sponsorship, which is amplify, boost, connect, defend. And if you go, I can always send you the link to the article, but it just talks about all of these things that actually makes the difference. I have experienced all of these things, especially when it talks about boosting and connecting. You know, boosting is basically creating opportunities and readiness for advancement. I have been given opportunities by lots of folks within my company and outside of my company for just providing me with opportunities to speak, because, you know, speaking in the Agile community is kind of like getting that first job. You can't get that first job unless you have experience. Well, how can you get experience if you don't get the job? It's the same thing in, you know, thought leadership in the Agile community and breaking in. And so you need a sponsor who will take the chance on you, you know, trust in your abilities and give you that first break. So that is where I feel we need to spend the opportunity. And that's where I try to spend as much of my time, because it's good for you to have sponsors within your company, but it's also good to have sponsors outside of your company. So communities like this and other communities like this that I'm involved with, Agile in Color and that kind of thing, because we can support each other, build our relationships, and provide others here with platforms to do what they want to do, whether it's a connect to another job, whether, you know, they need help with, they want to break into speaking, help them with that. So I'm really passionate about creating more sponsorship opportunities for us.
Let me ask a question. Since you guys are being so quiet, how does one, it's easy to find a mentor, right? You find one, you pick one, you know, whatever. How do you actually, what is the process that you go about finding a sponsor, especially in an Agile space?
Well, you know, I think one thing is some of those sponsor mentor relationships can turn into sponsor relationships, because one of the things here that, like, you know, what a sponsor is looking for, you know, sponsors have their own motivations, right? You know, they have something to gain because the performance of the person they're sponsoring is reflecting on them. You know, if you speak up for somebody else, you're taking a chance for them to deliver. And so the other thing might be because they take a chance on you because you have demonstrated that you can help advance the company goals. You know, so it's also, you know, it's not just a one-sided relationship. So you can turn those mentorship relationships into sponsorship, because a lot of it is involved, is based on trust, right? If the sponsor doesn't trust you and your abilities, they are not going to provide you with the opportunities. So a lot of trust building, I feel, comes from building relationships. If you find people that you connect with naturally and volunteer to do things, get involved, because volunteering is one of the easiest ways to create relationships outside of your normal supervisory relationships in your company, because that way you get to enlarge your circle, meet new people, demonstrate some skills that might not necessarily be part of your day-to-day job. And so those are some areas that you can get involved with to kind of to prove yourself and show that it's like, yeah, you've got the potential for people to notice and pay attention.
I love that you mentioned the whole concept of volunteerism, and I'm going to take it a step further. Again, like I said, I'm operating based on the assumption that most of you are Scrum Masters or about to complete your Scrum certification. And for those of you who are new, one question that I get asked a lot is, how do I get experience? And so volunteering in a civic way, volunteering at work and volunteering in your organization or outside in your community as a Scrum Master is a great way for you to build and demonstrate competency, and then to be able to go ahead and, put that on your resume, right? And so if in your organization, folks are running waterfall, I don't know where, but if there are people who are still running waterfall and you can't get on an agile team, there are tons of small businesses as a result of the pandemic who are struggling and still trying to figure out how to get their feet underneath them. And what a great story would it be for you to be able to say that you helped a small business, scale from coming back from COVID to actually being, better than they were and flourishing, through the use of agile methodology or Scrum framework, whatever. So I just wanted to offer that too. So thanks, Nicole, for that. Okay. Can we get into it a little bit? We've got 20 minutes or so left. And I want to kind of get in under the hood a little bit. And oftentimes I feel like when we join these professional panels, folks see us in the now. You see us all buttoned up. You see us look good. We're in our cute outfits with our nice hair and glasses on, our makeup. But it ain't always looked this way, right? Sometimes I forget. People don't talk enough about the struggle. They don't talk enough about the journey. And I want to talk about that because I feel like there's lessons in the journey, right? So what are some of your greatest learnings or mistakes that you want to share as a Blagilist or as a woman in Agile? And Melissa, I'm going to pick on you because you've been unusually quiet for a minute. So you go. So tell me, what are some of your greatest strengths or learnings or mistakes that you want to share?
I was quiet. I was enjoying everybody else talk. Like, oh yeah, I like that. That's key. That's golden. So I enjoyed that. But my greatest mistakes is reacting, right? So reacting to someone else's bad behavior, right? And then not knowing how to respond to it, thinking that I did something wrong, right? Just like taking it all in, thinking to myself, whatever happened was my fault. And now I have to react and defend myself. And that's the major thing that has happened throughout my career. And what I realized was that most of the time I was seen as a threat instead of a team player. And that's why their response may have come across that way to me. And so now I had to downplay a lot of my intellect because of that, but now I don't, right? Like I'm not going to take on that persona. Like it's not going to be helpful for anybody. I'm not going to be of service. I'm not going to be able to help anyone if I'm supposed to downplay my intellect, right? And so by reacting to what someone may have perceived me to be, or a negative view that they may have had about me, I've learned that I don't have to react. I don't have to respond. Like adulting is like, oh, okay, so that's what you think, right? And you kind of just try to figure out what are your values, stick to those, and then move on. That's how I kind of handle things now. So praise being an adult.
That was good. Lisette or Nicole, do y'all have anything you want to add?
Sure. That was funny. I love that, Melissa. I need to finish my laugh. No, that was good. I think it's in a similar way. And I was having a conversation with a team member from a company where I worked like 11 years ago. And she was actually reminding me of how I was checking people in meeting, and the word that we use now, because now we have word for everything, toxic masculinity. That was a thing, right? But now we have a word for it. And she was like, she And she was a young girl, I mean, young lady. Now she's like a career woman, but she was like, I just love the way you check him in the meeting. And I was like, this girl is like my hero. And I was like, that's what we call it now. But that was me back then. Like, I've never code switch. I'm always been the way that I've been, you know, and I used to be really, I'll say not violent with my word, but I used to be at the level of the way people act to me. So if you're a violent human being with your word, I'll match your level. But I'm no longer that person because I used to take things really personally because I'm in quality. And when things don't go well, I take it personally. And I'm like, I don't do that anymore. Like if we have a release and you guys don't want to follow the process that we've been talking about for the past 19 years and you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. I go home and I'm safe. I'm happy, you know, I meditate and I forget you all. So I think when I start thinking about my own self-care, my own health, and I had to, I mean, if you want to be real, I do a speech where I talk about, you know, how Agile went wrong and I found myself in the ER. So I had to find myself in the ER, and for 10 days, nobody knew exactly what I was dealing with. Like no doctor could figure out could diagnose what I had, you know, and I was killing myself. So when you go past those moments, you know, nobody matters anymore in the office, you know, no drama matters. You start taking care more of yourself, you start forgetting things. So I didn't just, you know, became that person. I had to like really find the lowest level of myself to become that person. But now things don't get to me anymore. You know, it's like you guys do what you want to do. I tell you how it's supposed to be. If you don't want to follow, hey, that's what it is. You know, it doesn't affect me. So I think adult. That's when she was saying adult, and I was like, that is what's happening. It's the adulting, that it's the wisdom that you bring. And I think being an agilist also help with that, because as an agile coach, one of the things that we learn also is you are not there to shake the room. You're just there to, you know, expose. And that's how I always start every meeting now. You know, I'm just here to expose. And my uh my presence actually will expose a lot of things, but that have nothing to do with me. So that's how I see things these days, and it has helped me mentally and professionally a lot.
I love that. I love that. You know, and that's hard, right? Like, cause that the checking folks in a meeting is a hard line to toe. At least I found, right? Because if you hit that line, you know, you hit that curve a little bit too much, then you get feedback, right? You get feedback, you know, that you are abrasive or you're too aggressive, where you're just really trying to assert yourself. Like, no, XYZ, my name is Apriel. Like, you cannot call me April. I know I don't have a nickname, right? Like, you know, Apriel works good, right? You know, or, you know, in actuality, you know, the data, this is the data, you know, and someone might say, and this is a true story. I literally had an executive say to me, you know, you want to check with me before you send the details out, because you wouldn't ever want anyone to think that you don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, well, why would anyone think that? You know? And so just just really being able to have the conversation for you to stand on your own 2 feet, to talk from a place of knowledge and a place of knowing, and while having, you know, folks come for you. So Kitch, I think that's how you pronounce your name. I think you said that you were going through that. If you want to like message us privately or put it in the chat or come off mute, like we're happy to help you with that too. Nicole, did you have anything that you wanted to add on this topic?
Yeah, I think for me, the perspective that I was coming from in terms of overcoming mistakes is really fulfilling others' expectations. And this can go beyond work. This can also go in your personal life, family, all of those things, right? They expect you to do this or do that. Same thing can happen at work. And a lot of it at the beginning for me was, you know, falling in line with other people's expectations, even if that didn't sit well with me at the time. But over time, as I built my confidence in myself and my abilities, that I was able to like, and also age helps with this too. You start like, I don't care what other people think anymore. I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You're going to do what you're going to do, but I can only be responsible for my actions. You have to be responsible for yours. And it takes time, and people have to find their path to get to that place. But it will happen. Just for people who are struggling with that right now, just know that it will happen. You just have to find your path to get to that point where it's like, yes, this is me, that's you, but I don't have to take on what you're giving me.
I think that's so important, right? I literally was just about to say that, like, the whole spirit of like embracing what we learn from Agile, like this whole concept of, being impeccable with your word, not taking anything personally, right? Like the whole 4 agreements, that has been critical, I think, for me to shift from feeling like victimized every single time I got a piece of shady feedback, and because some feedback is valid, so most of it is shady as hell, but shady feedback, misplaced aggressions, folks and their insecurities. It's easy, like we put them on like coats, right? And those hamper our ability to show up in spaces in all of our glory and splendor, and for us to really like thrive in environments. And so this whole idea of finding your path is not always easy. So here's a couple of things that I've heard, just to echo back for everyone, that seems like it's been helping, because I think we've touched on this throughout the conversation. So one, I think as women and people of color, we always look to find community, but sometimes community is not easy. The one thing that I will say is be willing to find community in uncanny places. And sometimes you might find someone tap you on the shoulder that's like, sis, you need help, like you're not expecting help to come from me, but you need the help that I'm going to give you. So be willing to accept help, that comes from uncanny places. The other thing is be okay, right? This whole concept of knowing your worth, be okay with who you are and be okay with who you are not, and trust that who you are is good enough. And it's cool for you to show up in the space as yourself. And you showing up in this space as yourself is giving license to other people to show up in the space as they are, in a respectful and tactful and presentable way, right? And sometimes you might need to remind them of that. And that is totally okay too, right? Because that's helping you be a better Scrum Master, be a better coach, be a better friend, be a better woman, be a better girlfriend, be a better mama, be a better whatever. And that's also going to help that person be a better team player or even a better colleague to you, So don't be afraid of the work personally. I think it's one of the other things that I heard. And then the last one that I think Nicole had elevated, but you said it differently in your concept or your conversation around mentorship and sponsorship, that sponsors sometimes tap you, but the one thing that I heard is kind of this idea of don't be afraid to ask for the things that you need. And so if in you realize like, no, I'm not really looking for a mentor. What I'm really looking for is advocacy, right? What I'm really looking for is support. And here's what support looks like for me. Be willing to have the conversations after you've done some thoughtful inquiry about the things that it is that you need. Then take a survey throughout the organization or the community or wherever you're working to figure out who is the best person to help you champion that. And who do you think, would be willing to help you go to that end of wherever the end is that you want to go. So all greatness. Okay. So we have a couple of minutes left. I wanted to know if anyone had any final questions, comments, thoughts that they wanted to share before we concluded our dialogue today. Yes, come off mute. You're mute.
Hi, everyone. So my question is, I recently joined a new organization and based on the interview process, they seem to be further along with their agile transformation than they actually are. So now that I'm here, there's a lot of resistance. And even with the Scrum Masters they currently have, they're more so waterfall, right? They go through the different processes, they skip things, they're comfortable. And I'm getting a lot of resistance, a lot of, well, what's your experience? And I have to, run down the receipts like, hey, okay, I have this, I have that. How do I go about this transformation? Because there's still not the support from the business. They like waterfall. They want everything now, and everything is a priority. So, and honestly, no one in this organization looks like me. So I'm navigating a lot of things, and any advice would be great.
I have an opinion, but I don't want to monopolize the floor. I'm happy, Lisette, Nicole, Melissa, all of y'all are laughing because we have war stories, but who wants to go first?
Resistance is my middle name. Now, that is just like so typical. But what I would say is, for those organizations that says they're doing agile things, but they're not really, I'm all about the path of least resistance. And so it's called undercover agile or DL agile, or however you stealth agile, whatever you want to call it. So doing and being agile with them without them realizing it. And so for me, the easiest thing was to focus on the team. It's like, okay, we're not going to use the A word. We're just going to focus on what are your pain points. Let's alleviate those. Retrospectives are a great place to find those things out, and just focus on one thing at a time and try to help them with one of those pain points with your stealth agile. And, that's been a way that I've been able to bring people along without really focusing on the transformation, as it were. So that's my quick 2 cents, stealth agile.
Okay, Lisette, what you got?
Yeah, my quick sense would be, Bernadette, please take care of yourself first, because when you start talking about transformation, right? So you start wearing the cape and say, I'm here, I'm supposed to be transforming them, but they don't want to, then you're going to start getting those energy in you, and you don't want that. So everything that Nicole say is right. The only thing that I'm going to add is focus on yourself, focus on being agile yourself, because agile is about people seeing the result. Okay, so you move in an agile way, the way you do your meeting, the way you finish things, the way you retrospect, you be agile at the best that you can be, because you're an agilist, right? So that will start smelling on them, and then it will take on everything that Nicole said, because I don't want to repeat what she said because she said it right. So from there, you're helping them with the pain point, and that's the transformation that they deserve. That is the transformation that they deserve, and hopefully, it take on from there, but don't take on the mantle that, I got to transform them, I got to take them to the promised land, because that's not your role.
That was good. Okay, Melissa, what you got?
So I want to ditto what Nicole was saying, like go in and find things, don't use the word, right? Because I've been in so many situations where, and I think I'm going to, kind of summarize some of what Lisette was saying too, but like situations where you kind of go into stealth mode, right? You just kind of view the lay of the land, figure out what people like, what they don't like, and then make recommendations slowly, right? So you're not going to go in and say, oh, I have all these different ideas, but slowly start to transition. And I don't like to bring up, I know tools don't make any process better, right? It's always the actual process itself. But one situation that I was in was they had this idea of bringing this tool in. They don't do agile whatsoever, right? So they wanted to bring the tool in, but the tool was agile. So what I was able to do was basically say, okay, well, this is how we're going to use the tool. And then we just went agile, right? Like, so it's different ways of trying to see what's in the environment and what the environment will adapt to, and then moving from there. But good luck with that. I know that's a struggle.
I have one piece to add. Here's the one thing that I will tell you, Bernadette, is life follows work and work follows life. People are who they are all the time. What does that mean? People pay for what they want and they will not pay for what they need. People will do what they want, they will not do what they need. So to this whole conversation around pain points, this is a great opportunity for you to start to galvanize some support for Bernadette, the person, versus Bernadette, the Scrum Master, versus Bernadette, the Agilist, versus Bernadette, the transformation queen. You are new. You need to get to know like where the bodies are buried. You need to know where the dirt in the house is. You need to know what folks are hiding. And the only way for you to do that is through conversation. Get out and start inviting people to virtual coffee. If you guys are not in the office, start to talk to people about their organizations, talk to them about what they're struggling with, talk to them about what they need help with. If you had a magic wand and you could give it to them, what would be the top 3 things that they would want to take care of immediately? And then through an agile way, start to see what kinds of things you can start to get some traction on, right? And say, I'd really love to help you out with this, but I need an additional resource who does X. Is anybody on your team someone who could help me with that? And so then slowly, like I call it the Trojan horse approach, Nicole calls it the stealth approach. Either way, we still talking about going in undercover, under the radar, whatever low key way you can get in is the way to get in. But then you can start to ask for more things as you start to help people get what they want. So that's my suggestion to you. I know we're at the top of the call and we have Shauna has a question, and there was a question about volunteering. So we can stay a couple of minutes late if you guys are good with getting your questions answered. But I'm going to come to the volunteering one after Shauna asks her question. Okay, go ahead.
All right, I'm so triggered by Bernadette's question. I've been there. Like I could spend a whole other hour masterminding with you on this, Bernadette. So what
you guys should connect.
I'm gonna drop my LinkedIn because I would really love to talk to you more about this, Bernadette, because I've lived this pain. I felt the pain in your question, and I'm willing to share and talk more. But here was my real question, my selfish ask. As we say, closed mouths don't get fed, so I'm opening my mouth. I want to selfishly plug the Women in Agile pre-conference that's coming up. It always precedes the Agile Alliance conference next year in Nashville, Tennessee. We're finally trying to do in person again. I was recently quietly tapped on the shoulder to chair the Women in Agile conference this year. This is like hot off the presses, just started yesterday working with the former chair transitioning.
Take up space, sis. Take up space.
And she is an ally. She wants to see more Black people, especially Black women, at the Women in Agile pre-conference. It's just a 4-hour pre-conference that leads into the fuller Agile Alliance. I'm gonna need volunteers. We're about to open a registration. I would love to see registration numbers be really great. And I will share on behalf of Cheryl and myself, I am especially hoping to see more people of color show up at these conferences, the Agile Alliance, and in particular, the Women in Agile conference. So stay tuned. I'm gonna drop my LinkedIn, and pretty soon we'll start with the whole Eventbrite, and the whole kit and caboodle of marketing stuff is coming soon. So I would love to see all of you, a lot of you there, or just sharing this with others in the Agile community.
We're happy to share it. So I just if you can send the details to hello@blagile.com,
Okay.
we'd be happy to post it on our page. And are you guys looking for speakers too?
We are. So I have someone in mind. I'm not allowed to mention who that is yet. And I haven't heard back from her. So I'm trying to build my plan B list. And I need a plan B, y'all. So yes, I'll probably need some recommendations for speakers. And I'll say in particular, Women in Agile, they have a keynote. The Agile Alliance itself, they're always looking for a keynote. In particular, the Women in Agile conference, I'll tell you this, the range of the type of speakers we're looking for is really out of the box. You don't have to be Agile, right? Like last year's speaker was the woman who wrote the book that Orange is the New Black is based on, that series. That was the keynote last year. So the Women in Agile conference specifically looks for speakers that may not really be connected to tech or Agile, that they're okay with a broader list of, a pool of keynote speaker candidates. But it's okay if you are connected. But I just wanted to put that out there. If you have a suggestion in mind, feel free to let me know, because that's my top priority, is to pick our keynote right now. So I got to nail that down, and then we'll see. We'll announce, who that is once you see the Eventbrite stuff get posted.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so like I said, drop an email at hello@Blagile. And if any of you guys have questions, you can email that too. There was a question for the chat to just connect. We'll do our best to send that out. So I'm not sure how we'll do that, but we'll do our best to send that out. And then I think it was Jamila had asked about how to get started volunteering, especially volunteering your experience in the community. So the one thing that I would say is, I don't know if you guys are a part of any groups, right? Like, so there's like Sister Circle on Facebook, there's Women in Agile, there's Blagile. And so there are tons of folks who, the women on this panel could 100% help you get connected to folks who are seeking, I know I love the Sister Circle group too, help you get connected to other folks who are seeking help. I think that's get started in the community and start to talk to people. And so this whole idea of closed mouths don't get fed, it all starts with you beginning to open your mouth and talk about, I have a discipline in this, I am looking for this. Does anybody need help? I think those are real, conversations. And so you can go, if you want to work with Black-owned businesses, or you just want to work with women-owned businesses, literally start to knock on doors and introduce folks. I'm a person who pounds the pavement, so that's always going to be my first recommendation, because then people have to get a chance to know you. You get a chance to talk to people about their stories. And then you also get a chance to ask questions about how people got started. And people inherently want to share, right? Like, we as humans were meant to be in relation. We were meant to be in community with each other. And so sometimes I think that we forget that. So that would be my first recommendation, would be, start with your network, find out who needs help or who has opportunities, especially if it's free. And then literally go into cities and start to ask folks who are having trouble with their businesses and how you could help them. So those are the two ways that I would recommend. We are actually over time. In the chat, Chase had posted two different Google Docs. So one, we are looking for additional speakers. So again, we want to amplify and elevate Black voices, Black and Brown voices in Agile. And so if you are interested and would like to be on a panel like this, fill out that Google sheet. And additionally, we're also in the process of developing content for our website. And so this is a great way for you to get published. And so if you'd like to submit an article, then there's also another link for you guys to do that. We'll post them on the LinkedIn if you didn't have the opportunity to grab them. So, and then folks are asking, how do we get the chat? Dina, I don't know. We have to figure that out. We typically don't send these out. So let Chase and I connect and figure out how we want to.
It should not be difficult. It should not.
Yeah,
be
no, I know, but we haven't done it before.
But as an individual, you can save the chat. So if you're in the chat box right now, at the bottom right corner, there's the 3 dots, and there's the option to save chat. So you can save the chat yourself.
I think one person had mentioned she was driving, and so that was the reason why.
Yeah, I saved it for Lisa.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. Okay, so before we end the day, I want to say thank you guys so much for registering, and thank you guys so much for being a part of the community. I hope this conversation has been worthwhile. I hope that it has nourished you. And I also hope that it's been fun. So it's been really, really great getting a chance to connect with you guys. And I hope you have an amazing day. Talk to you soon, or see you next month. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Apriel. Great one.
Thanks.
Hey, Nicole.
So good, guys.
Bye. Good.
See you.